Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Stone, and again, I am the board president of the Elysian Valley Arts Collective. We're here today to announce the winners of our first ever virtual juried art show. Our jurors, Mark Stephen Greenfield, Anne Elizabeth Sobieski, and Ramon Munoz, gathered together one night to review all of the artworks that were submitted. They talked about each of them, had a lively discussion, and in the end selected our 5 finalists. Today, I've asked them to come back together to tell us a little bit about their thought process, how the jury worked, provide some feedback on each of the finalists, and then to announce our grand prize winner and the winners of our Emerging Artist Prize.
First of all, I was honored to be asked to be on this panel, especially with these other esteemed artists who I respect very, very much. And I very much enjoyed looking at the work that was submitted to the show. And although as a group, we didn't always 100% agree with each other, we were within 98% pretty much in agreement on most things. And then, as is often the case with juried shows, we discuss the merits based on our own personal feelings about one piece of art versus another. And in the end, we were all very, very satisfied, I think, with the decisions that were made. The first piece of art, which seemed to get the most highest scores, was Night Arms. And as we discussed the piece, in addition to it being a beautifully illustrated, rendered work of art, and looking at what it might mean, we were taken by the metamorphosis of these 2 hanging arms, which do not seem necessarily in any sort of distress, but at the same time, they're definitely pointing down, while the arms go through this metamorphosis and become butterflies and fly away. It seemed to have a lot of emotional impact, I think, on all the artists, and it did the same for me. It was mentioned that the use of the negative space was quite beautiful, and then from a sheer design point of view, the combination of the illustrated, painted, drawn arms, butterflies, and the white space gave a very open feeling of freedom. And I think the jurors, including myself, we were responding to that almost heavenly feeling of the arms that are weighted suddenly being less weighted, and perhaps reading some metaphors for that with the current conditions that we're in right now in the world. So that would be what I considered to be the response to that particular piece.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts. That's, I think, will be incredibly wonderful for the winner to hear. And it helps, I think, everyone to understand the jury's thought process and to allow us to see the piece of art through your eyes. Did you have any general comments you would like to make about the artwork that you reviewed as part of this process?
Yes, it was quite a variety of works. There was one piece that sort of bridged between fine art and graphic design that we were taken by very much, and what it stood for. A piece that stood out for me and the other jurors was called Telekinetic. And I think the combination of the explanation of why the piece was made and how it was made, in combination with how it looked, it had a beautiful meditative appearance, which we all seemed to respond to. And it was very much in sync with the description given by the artist. Another piece which I personally responded to, let me see if I can find the name of it. It was called A New Day, and I was personally moved by that piece. I thought it was a pretty sophisticated work of design and abstraction. And the more we looked at it, the more we began to see buildings and streets and neighborhoods and things, and we made connections between those things, and then the fact that it is very comfortable being a purely non-objective abstract painting. So that stood out. We were found the picture of the deconstruction of LACMA to be engaging and a very timely piece. The photographer had to run out there because it was just recently demolished and take that sequence of photographs. And we discussed it quite a bit and discussed exactly what the sequence was, how maybe it could have been improved. And yet at the same time, from a journalistic standpoint, it's a very important event that has happened here as we begin to rebuild LACMA. I did mention that we spent some time looking at that piece. I think we all felt that it was a very topical piece. It has qualities of journalism because essentially it is an account of an event happening here in the city. For those of us who have been around a long time, and I know Mark Greenfield and I both were young kids watching LACMA be built, it was a very emotional thing to realize that it was being torn down. I did not witness the tearing down, and I'm not quite sure if I wanted to witness it, but I think it was very important that people see it. Museums are almost like modern day churches and, cultural churches. And when the museum that was your first art museum to ever enter, which was the case for me, when you're seeing it demolished, it of course brings up a lot of emotional connections. But anyway, it was a moving piece without being overly sentimental. There was nothing really done with those photographs to entice us to feel one way or the other. But for those of us with a history of art museums in Los Angeles, it definitely struck a note in us. Another piece that caught our eye was New Orleans, and it was a mysterious piece. We were trying to figure out the character with the umbrella. Was it death? And somebody said it referenced possibly some Chinese mythology, something like that. But that was an engaging piece as well. I would say almost all the works had great merits for one reason or another, but the ones that we did choose, we discussed in a lot of detail, and we ended up having a consensus that I think every single artist was very happy with. So once again, it was a great experience. And all I would say is I hope for the next online, if it is online, virtual exhibit that they do in Frogtown, and for this event, I hope more people will participate because there's obviously a lot of great talent in that part of the city.
Great. Well, thank you so much for all those thoughtful comments, Ravon.
Very welcome, and I was honored to do it, and good luck with the next one.
So I'm here with Mark Stephen Greenfield, one of our esteemed panel of judges. And Mark, I'd like you to share, if you would, a few of your remarks or thoughts about this juried art show, the process, and perhaps the artwork that you saw.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for selecting me as a judge for this. It's always a pleasure, and I'm always a big supporter of any event in Frogtown. I really kind of love that place. Okay, so the process of judging any art competition has at its core a fundamental understanding and familiarity with the different mediums and the almost limitless possibilities that can be realized through these materials. It helps if one understands the artist's intention, but it is by no means essential, and often considerations are made purely on aesthetics. Such was the case with a majority of the submissions for the Frogtown Artwalk. Questions that often play a part in my considerations are, is it pleasing to look at? And does the artist demonstrate some level of proficiency in their use of the medium? Is my experience with the medium equal to the task of making an informed judgment on the artist's skill? If the theme is involved, how effectively is the idea communicated in the work. It often becomes necessary to suspend one's personal likes and dislikes in favor of what constitutes good work. In this, I was pleasantly surprised in finding all the work I was asked to review of exceptional quality. It is my hope that these artists will continue to follow in their passion. Night Arms, compositionally and technically, demonstrated a degree of excellence that, for me, distinguished it as the clear winner in this case. It was a joy to do this and a joy to participate, and I wish all of the artists a bright future.
Thank you so much. I know that your words, will be of great value and interest to the participants, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share those thoughts with us. And,
my pleasure.
And thank you very much for being part of this jury. It was really wonderful to connect with you again and to be privy to your thoughts and the jury, to hear the jury deliberate. I found that very illuminating. So thank you so much.
Sure.
Would you like to make the announcement of our grand prize winner for the Juried Art Show?
After considerable deliberation, the juror has found that the artist Shannon Keller is the winner of this year's Frogtown Artwalk Award for her piece called Night Arms.
Thank you very much. And congratulations to Shannon. Hi, I've got Anne Elizabeth Sobieski here, who is going to announce our Emerging Artist winner, except that we are happy to announce that we have 2 Emerging Artist winners this year. Anne Elizabeth, maybe you can tell us who our winners are and why the jury decided to award 2 instead of 1 Emerging Artist Prize.
Yes, of course. Well, first of all, congratulations to all the artists for presenting great work. I know it takes a lot of courage to submit an artwork, and I respect all the artists who chose to participate. We had 2 winners because there were 2 pieces that stood out who really showed a lot of merit, and we wanted to reward them. The first is Mia Rascone for Day of Smoke, and we felt that this piece really captured our current environment and challenges and the kind of situation we're all living in right now. When I looked at that piece, I just thought, oh yes, I remember that day. It really brought back what we're all going through in Los Angeles. And our second winner is Moses Mills for the Wooden Dandelion. And we loved that piece because it was so, it was simple and hopeful and powerful, and it spoke to regeneration and resilience, and we just thought both those pieces really stood out to us, so we felt compelled to give 2 awards. So congratulations to everyone for participating. Really, job well done.
And thank you to you and all of the other jurors who helped us make this possible. And congratulations to all the winners. Thank you.